for assignment 8A. And can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Frio Wong. I'm a freshman statistics major at UF.
Cool. So the business that I hope to start is a type of service to undergrad students. From personal experience, it was hard to find a research opportunity here because the CURBS website wouldn't update their list of potential research positions very often. And so I want to start one where students would personally talk to professors and ask them if they were seeking any positions, who they're looking for, and how they can get in touch with them. Um, what are your opinions on such a service?
As a Curbs ambassador, I don't exactly know how the organization would feel about you potentially infringing on their territory in air quotation marks. I guess it would depend on how you go about providing your service to students. If I may ask, how does money factor into the business model?
Oh, okay. So my hope for it would be mostly led by students. It would be on a volunteer basis because I find that if you talk to enough professors, you start networking with them, and you should be keeping, like, these student workers would potentially be working with the same types of professors, just keeping updates on them and keep in touch with them on what the research is going, what they're looking for. And so I find that that students would be more likely to be immersed in such a culture type thing. So if that's the only type of work that I'm searching for, then the service would be potentially free.
Okay. Interesting.
So as a Curbs ambassador, but on the Curbs website they have that Excel sheet, right?
Yes.
What are your opinions on that? Because I found that to be not updated as frequently as it should be.
Right, and I would agree with that statement. But I feel like that's an easier fix to make as opposed to potentially starting a business based off of this idea. I think it's a really interesting concept, and I would like to see how it would be implemented. I suppose the biggest thing that you would need to watch out for is really just curbs,
Mm-hmm.
because if you are creating a business and potentially asking people to pay for a service, I feel that some students who might not necessarily have the funds to spare would just go with curbs.
Yeah.
Unless there's like an exclusive offer that you can provide for them, which may be a little interesting depending upon the research project,
Mm-hmm.
because you'd have to get like professors' approval, and that might
Yeah.
get weird with like grant funding
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
getting the necessary students without necessarily paying them. It's a little complicated. I'm doing research right now and I'm not being compensated for it. There's
Mhm.
no part in the grant that like allows for that, but I don't know if that's just specific to that research project or if it's just a concept in research.
Well, I wasn't planning on making money so much as so to address that there needs to be more of an awareness that such opportunities exist. Because my experience with the Excel sheet on the Curbs website was I found an opportunity there, and that's where I'm doing research now. But it was mostly um, computer science related, and I didn't really find a lot of biochem opportunities. And sometimes you would look through the list, and the due dates were like 2 years ago.
Right. I actually had an idea just now because I know that a lot of students have this perception that research is only for STEM majors
Mhm.
and computer science, as you said. But it would be really interesting if your business or your organization emphasized research in the humanities or in
Yes,
subjects outside of STEM,
Mhm.
because from my experience, just from looking on that spreadsheet and just in general, it is harder to find research opportunities when you are in the humanities, only because there are less present. There's less, I suppose, active search for. I don't want to put it that way. It's just it seems harder because less people talk about it.
Mhm.
And so while I know it is completely possible to find research in like art or law or history it can be difficult. One of my friends, Camilo, is actually looking for history research right now, and as part of Curbs, I have no idea where to like push him to, as aside from just the website that lists how to find a research professor. I don't know of any ongoing projects done by the history professors because we don't talk about that.
Yeah.
So if you could create a network of professors that like in the humanities that does stuff like that, that would actually be really cool. And that's something that Curbs doesn't specifically do because Curbs tries to get everyone into research. It's not specific to fields.
The past interviewees I've done also stress that humanities research is really important. I had one where she knew a friend that was a dance major, and her major actually had a lot to do with research, and she was having trouble finding professors that would help her.
Right.
So
yeah. You can also go at it from like a demographic standpoint because I know most people in Curbs are STEM major. Bio is very common. There are a couple English majors, but they're in the minority.
Yeah.
So if you could reach out to more, I guess, diverse fields regarding that, and Curbs has that push too, but it's harder.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not going to argue importance-wise. I think humanities research is definitely necessary. Understanding other fields helps with like interdisciplinary approaches and whatnot. But yeah, that's really neat.
Okay. So I'm gonna move to more like general questions away from the business perspective.
Okay.
But as a Curbs ambassador, what do you think the benefits of research are? Like, if you were a freshman who is contemplating joining research or not in like any major, what benefits would they?
Benefits are you asking the benefits of being a Curbs ambassador or the benefits of doing research?
Doing research.
Doing research. From my experience at Curbs, I would say if we go beyond the obvious, it's a resume booster, to the more, I guess, subtle benefits. It's basically like having a job that you aren't necessarily paid for, and you get to further your understanding of a specific topic to a level of depth you wouldn't necessarily have in a classroom. So at least to me, it's more of a learning experience than anything. Like I'm an undergraduate research assistant for a lab studying like breathalyzer devices, and the lab's central question is like, why do some people handle themselves better with alcohol than other people, and why does addiction differ between people? And like psychologists already have like a general idea of that, but we still don't know exactly why like some people get flat out drunk and then other people just like hold it in better regarding tolerance levels and stuff like that. So you get to ask weird questions about things that happen, and you get to potentially solve them. And I won't say that like a research project will necessarily come to a specific conclusion, because most won't, or at least right now. But it's interesting to be able to be a part of that process.
So having joined a research group, was there anything that scared you from applying?
I was actually really lucky. I took a class last semester called Science for Life, and its point was to help students find research opportunities. And at the end of the semester, my professor emailed everyone saying, hey, this research professor is looking for assistance. If you want to join, just email him. And I did, and I kind of got it that way. But his lab, my research professor, he was actively looking for people to work with him because he was expanding like the research project. He had received new grant money and needed people on board. So I got lucky in that sense. I did try emailing professors beforehand, and it was not fun.
Oh, okay. So do you think if you knew that more professors were looking, and you knew they were searching for a freshman or someone like a statistics major, would you be more inclined to join research groups?
Yes, but I mean, I am like fully aware of the benefits of research, and I feel like to some students who don't necessarily have time in their schedule, it might be a harder push.
Right.
For example, I'm in a pretty privileged situation in the sense that I don't necessarily have to pay for as much as my college tuition as other students might.
Mhm.
So if they already have jobs or internships going on, it can be harder to
Join
get
research.
involved in
Yeah.
research. But that's more of like a personal thing and not something that your company would necessarily like deal with.
Yeah. Well, that's all the questions I have. Thank you for being my interviewee.
No problem.